Good afternoon, Tumisang. It's been quite robust here at the annual meeting of the World Economic Forum. As you said, there has been that anticipation of a virtual address by the U.S. President who has newly minted Donald Trump. He's not here, of course. He was taking office earlier this week, but the theme this year is quite apt when it comes to the department and the person we are going to talk to, with the theme being collaboration in the intelligent age. And it's something that Dr. Blade Nzimande, the Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, knows a thing or two about. Minister, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. You've been here for a couple of days. What's your assessment of what the World Economic Forum and the deliberations have been this year?
Yeah, thank you very much, Xolani. It's the second time I'm at the World Economic Forum. Well, my impression hasn't changed really from the first time last year, that this is a platform for networking, primarily by business people, including governments, specific companies that want to reach out. As a matter of fact, many people who are here are not even accredited to go into the halls where debates and discussions are going on, because they've just come to lobby, sell their products, and so on. In many ways, it's a typical business function. But also, from the standpoint of developing countries like the South, ourselves, it's a very important platform to meet other governments, because there are lots of governments here. More than half the world governments are represented here in one form or the other. There were 60 heads of states. And it's an opportunity then to actually get together and be able to lobby for things that are important to us. For instance, if you look at the theme of the World Economic Forum, the issue of collaboration, it's very important. And of course, we are also informed by the need to strengthen a multilateral world. So it's a platform then to be able to organize collaboration with developing countries, with developed countries as well, in many other respects. And also, I must admit, you actually learn quite a lot. I sat in a number of panels just to get insights, even on things that you may not have been aware of. For instance, I joined a panel coming from the point of view of science and innovation that was talking about electric vehicles, supply chains, what's happening in the world. The uptake is not as big as has been expected. In our own case in South Africa, we are likely, for instance, to stay with hybrid vehicles at the most as a transition to electric vehicles because of our own challenges that we have. We have lots of coal, which of course we are doing work in science to actually experiment or do work on carbon capture as part of dealing with climate change, as well as dealing with battery technologies, because batteries are central to electric vehicles. So one managed to exchange. China is very advanced now in terms of numbers that they are producing. But Europe, interestingly enough, is not moving, even the United States, as fast as we should. I think with the announcement now with the re-elected President Trump in the U.S., we are likely to get even slower uptake of electric vehicles. So that's important in terms of understanding where we are in relation to the rest of the world. So the whole issue, that's within the whole context of collaboration, sharing knowledge and so on. Of course, this is the era of intelligent age. By that, it's a short word to say it's the age of artificial intelligence. One also observes that when the earlier days of artificial intelligence, there was not so much uptake. At the moment, it looks like there's a stampede. because everyone feels that if you are not into artificial intelligence, we are not going to get anywhere. I see a number of countries are surprised by the speed with which China is moving. That's why, frankly, President Trump and his government are panicking now. They've just pulled the private sector to say, invest 5 times more than China so that we are able to move fast on artificial intelligence. For us, it's an opportunity to interact with countries from the standpoint of the South to say that how can we better collaborate in the area of artificial intelligence such that new technologies do not become new forms of colonization. Because if we are left behind, we're going to be recolonized 5 times more with the kinds of technologies that are actually here. It's not going to be easy, but it's important that countries of the South, they are also able to share information and so on. I also attended a very interesting session, which was on social entrepreneurship. A woman from Ghana who has created a network of 100,000 women hawkers in Ghana who are producing things with their own hands, and they were not getting or making much money out of it, but now has managed to support them with an app. They are now able to export to overseas countries these products that they are producing, creating jobs, creating better sustainable livelihoods. An illustration of how technology also can be used to fight poverty, which is an example that's important to us, that technology must not only be used to exacerbate inequalities, but technology can also be used to deal with poverty and disease. The other lady from Zambia has managed to produce through technology what are called birth kits to try and deal with the high mortality rate in terms of maternal mortality at birth as well as childbirth in a place like Zambia. And they are working with a private company that is supporting them to be able to do these things, which is a new form of corporate social investment, of empowering people rather than people just being recipients, being donors, and so on. Of course, my point of departure has been on what the president said, because the other big thing is that there's big interest in South Africa because we are president of G20. And the president outlined the priorities of G20, that we will be putting the issue of critical minerals of the future, the issue of pharmaceuticals, especially vaccines, the issue of dealing with the issue of climate change, which are all issues that have got lots to do with science, technology, and innovation. And of course, maybe the last important point is that we actually want to we will be chairing the science, technology, and innovation stream of the G20. I'll be doing that in my capacity as minister. And how do we place certain issues on top of the agenda of the G20, especially production of vaccines that are needed in the African continent?
Dr. Nzimande, thank you very much for that. There's a lot to learn, but it all comes down to Dr. Blade Nzimande's portfolio, science, technology, and innovation. There are so many examples of how technology has changed the world and continues to change the world. And as Dr. Nzimande said earlier on, it is quite important that countries in the global south and in sub-Saharan Africa are not recolonized 5 times over just because they are behind when it comes to technology, innovation, something that he knows much about and something he has a huge role to play in when it comes to South Africa. Back to you in studio, Dumisang.
Thanks, Xolani. Fascinating discussion with the Science and Technology Minister, Blade Nzimande there.